Welcome back, viewers. We have with us today Dr. Mesbah Moosavi in our series of sessions about questions about Islam. As you know, we will benefit from his experience and teaching both in Islamic seminary, Jose Ilmiya, and his conventional education and teaching at the universities, both in the West and in the East. So today we are taking up a question that often comes up these days, and that's about stoning. This is with reference to human rights, capital punishment, and similar contexts. This is raised against Islam, and with the view that Islam promotes stoning, and Islam actually has the concept of stoning as one of the possible punishments that can be given in certain situations. So we would like to dig further. I mean, we would like to investigate how much of this is true, what's the reality behind, where does this concept come from, and so that we can arrive at a conclusion about the concept of stoning. So I would like to ask Professor Mesbah, has stoning been mentioned in Quran to begin with?
Thank you for your question. No, there is no mention of stoning in the Quran at all. We don't have even one single verse in the Quran to allow or to recommend or to legalize stoning as a way of punishment for people.
This is surprising because, I mean, most people, even myself, would probably think that this is coming from Quran. But I mean, I think that the Arabic word for stoning, rajm, yes, is mentioned in Quran. Do you agree to that, or where is that mentioned, and how? I mean, what's the context?
Yes, you're right. We have the word of stoning or rajm in Arabic has been mentioned like in Surah 36, chapter 36.
Which is Surah Yasin.
Yeah, verse 18. In this verse, Quran is quoting and narrating from non-believers. When non-believers encounter the prophets of God, they said, if you don't give up your claim toward God, if you don't give up your invitation people toward monotheism, then we are going to stone you to death. So the verse is like this: لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهُوا لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ أَوْ لَيَمَسَّنَّكُمْ مِنَّا عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. It means that Quran says these non-believers said to prophets, if you don't give up your claim of monotheism, if you don't give up your invitation to the Lord, we are going to punish you in the way of stoning to death. That's the only concept that has been used in the Quran. So with regard to the punishment of people as legalization, there is no single verse in the Quran.
Right. So it's mentioned, as you said, this is mentioned as more of a narration of a historical event where people threatened the prophets.
That's right.
That right. We would stone you if you don't, abide, you don't, give up on your preaching. So that's about Quran. But how about other scriptures? Do we, since you have a deep knowledge of the comparative study of different beliefs, so I would like to ask you and benefit from your knowledge and experience on that. How do you find this concept in other scriptures?
Yes. In other scriptures, I'm talking about the Holy Bible, for a number of times the word stoning to death has been recommended. So what is the interpretation? That's something different. But we are not talking about the way of interpretation. Just I want to give you some examples how stoning to death has been used in the Bible. For example, in Exodus chapter 21, verse 18 to 21, it says, if a man has a stubborn son and a stubborn and rebellious son who will not listen to the voice of either of his father or his mother, And even when they punish him, still will not pay attention to them. His father and mother must take hold of him and bring him out of the elders of his town at the gate of that place. To the elders of his town they will say, "This son of us is stubborn and rebellious and will not listen to us." All his fellow citizens must then stone him to death. You must banish this evil from among you. All Israel, hearing of this, will be afraid. So, as you notice, in the Bible, in Exodus chapter 21, explicitly says, if someone has a stubborn son who does not listen to the voice of either his father or mother, must be stoned to death. Or, for example, in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 20 to 21, it's talking about loss of female virginity. And it says, if the accusation that girls cannot show evidence of virginity is substantiated, she must be taken out at the door of her father's house. Her fellow citizens must stone her to death for having committed an infamy in Israel by bringing disgrace on her father's family. You must banish this evil from among you.
So this biblical verse says that the onus is on the responsibilities is on the girl to prove her virginity, and if she cannot, then she must be stoned to death.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know about the interpretation. So we have to talk to our scholars from who knows, who are like Jews and Christians, to tell us what does it mean. But what we understand as like English word, it says you must stone her to death. To give you another example, in Leviticus, chapter 24, verse 16, it says someone is if anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord will be put to death, and the whole community will stone him to death.
So the punishment for blasphemy is also stoning to death, as when it comes to Bible.
Yes, we have some other examples. I don't want to make it so long. For example, it says if someone is in Exodus chapter 22, verse 17, it says, and chapter 20, verse 27, it says, if a man or woman of yours who is a magician will be put to death, they will be stoned to death. Their blood will be on their own heads.
So the punishment of witchcraft, when it comes to Bible, the punishment of witchcraft will also be stoning to death.
There are many other examples, like worshiping other gods, like in Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 7 to 11 says, if your brother, the son of your father, of your mother, or your son or daughter, or the spouse whom you embrace, or your most intimate friend tries secretly to seduce you, saying, let us go and serve other gods, unknown to you and your ancestors before you, you must show him no pity. You must not spare him or conceal his guilt. No, you must kill him. You must stone him to death, since he tries to divert you from Yahweh your God.
So another case where stoning is legitimate, as a legitimate punishment, is infidelity.
Mm-hmm. According to the Bible.
According to the Bible.
So I want to repeat again, that's what we understand from the Bible. But when I was talking to some of my colleagues who are Jews and Christian, they told me the interpretation may be different. So I'm not talking about the interpretation. I want to say the issue of the concept of stoning has its own reference to the Bible and not to the Quran. I want to repeat again, There is no single verse in the Holy Quran to legalize or to recommend stoning to death as punishment.
Right. So, but there are, I mean, we still see this concept flowing around. We still hear about stoning with reference to Islam. For example, some Islamic societies or cultures, or maybe even governments, they appear to accept this idea of stoning as a possible capital punishment. So where could that come from?
I do believe those who execute stoning as a way of punishment, they are not following the Quran, they are not following the Islamic law and Sharia, and we are not their speakers to tell you what they have in their mind, but as far as I have studied about Islam, it is not practical, because there are scholars who speak about stoning in some circumstances, very, very, very rare circumstances, but the conditions that they propose make it impractical. It's almost impossible to have a single case of stoning.
Okay, so let me clarify. There is no mention of rajm or stoning as punishment in Quran. That's what we said. And then I still would like to explain to our viewers that what other sources in Islamic jurisprudence can possibly be talking about stoning. Is there any description of stoning anywhere else other than Quran? Where does this concept originate from?
In some of our hadith, the issue of stoning has been mentioned, but as a way of threatening for some cases. To explain more, in Islam, the concept of family is one of the most fundamental concepts. The integrity of the family must be protected in any price. You cannot compromise the integrity of a family. No one is allowed to cheat on someone's wife, and if someone who is married cheats on someone else's wife, and this cheating has different degrees. If it's come to the, carnal knowledge, which is the exact act of, I don't want to say this word, but the exact act of, sexual relationship. In that case, there are some scholars, although I myself believe that is not possible to suggest stoning for anyone, for any case, but there are some scholars who say if the conditions are met, then could be such a punishment. And the conditions are very, very, very crucial.
So here I would like to explain what are those conditions, and what is the kind of crime or illegal act that the stoning could be prescribed against. So two things. My question is two things. First, in what condition? I mean, what kind of crime or what kind of unlawful act stoning could be prescribed as a punishment? And second, what conditions must be fulfilled before stoning is prescribed as a punishment? For example, if I didn't explain, in case of theft, in case of robbery, adultery, I mean, in what case can one prescribe stoning according to Hadith? And second, who can prescribe stoning? And third, what conditions must be met? Can anybody around here, prescribe stoning for anyone doing something?